Today I'm going to talk all about my 2024 gear loadout. So let's start with pack. I don't have the pack that I used for a large part of 2024 anymore because I didn't like it. And that was this one. It's the Flash 55. And there were things that I liked about it, about the design, like the way that the pockets are and the simplicity of it, the weight of it. And overall, the comfort could have been definitely worse. It wasn't bad in that regard until you started getting a little bit of weight in it. So I took it on a 7-day, 100-mile or so trip. And so I had more food and stuff with me on that particular trip because I needed it to be out for a longer amount of time. It also required bear storage and things like bear spray, which adds a little bit of weight too. So I ended up carrying around 35, I think, at the very start of the trip, where I had about 35 pounds in my pack. And if I remember correctly, at least 12 of that, or 15, was food. And the pack did not carry it well at all. It put a ton of strain on my back. It really caused me some pain and some headache. The second issue that I had with it is with this REI Flash backpack. I had already exchanged it once because in the spring when I was using it, early season, to just try and get some miles out with this pack on and determine if it would be a good fit for me, the sternum strap that goes across broke. For me, this is a pretty pivotal thing because I'm not ultralight, and so I really need that sternum strap to be doing its job and helping to even out that weight, keep things tight across my chest, and just keep my pack from moving. And it had broken, and I thought maybe it was just a one-off. I thought maybe it just was a defective plastic part on the particular one that I had. No big deal. These things definitely happen. So I exchanged it, and the same thing happened with my next one. So I said, okay, this is definitely not just a defect on the one pack, it's a defect of the pack, or at minimum on the batch of packs that mine came from. Between those two things of needing to be able to carry that little bit of extra weight when I'm going out on longer treks, and the fact that it just kept breaking at that point. And I only put around 150 miles total between the exchanged pack and that other pack. For me, it was not holding up to my needs. And even the fabric, I felt like in some little spots, it just was already kind of starting to rub through and just didn't seem to be holding up well overall to the kind of use that I put it through. So I just went ahead and I returned it. I do have my trusty pack that I used for the first 8 years or so here with me. And this is the Gregory pack, the Amber 60, that I used for ever when I first started backpacking. I bought it at a random shop in Portland when I was there for a training when I used to work for Alaska Airlines one time, and I just kind of wandered downtown and I bought this pack. At the time it was really affordable, and it's an awesome pack. It has held up really good. The materials are awesome. I mean, they have been through so much, and this thing is in like perfect condition. So I only have two major sort of issues with it. One is that it is pure black, so that gets really hot. And then the other thing is the back is pretty good, but it doesn't have really anything that's keeping this back. It does have some measure, but it doesn't have anything that's keeping this back away from your back. And so the padding and stuff has held up really well, but I just felt like there are options with better ventilation now. This one's gonna stay around, but the REI Flash 55 is out. Let's talk about my 2024 shelter. So I took a semi-freestanding tent this year, which was made by Big Agnes. It was their Tiger Wool Ultralight 2 and is made out of nylon. I'll put weights up over here. And it was definitely pretty good in certain ways. So it's a semi-freestanding tent, like I said, so you can set up most of it without necessarily needing stakes. I typically try not to do that because I have been through just so many different types of storms and things that have come unexpectedly, even in the middle of the night, that I do like to have my tent staked out. But if you were in an area that you couldn't, there would only be a couple of crucial parts that you would really need staked out, which would be down at the foot box, and then if you wanted to use the vestibules. So it is a really lightweight material. The good part of that, of course, is that the tent itself is really, really lightweight. The negative aspect is that it's a nylon, so it gets really heavy with water and it sags a lot when it does rain. And it also is a little more fragile, I feel like, than some of the other materials available. So there's definitely pros and cons to it. I feel like their zippers do get caught quite a bit in them as well. And then I actually had some sort of issues with it that I'll talk about in a second. So as far as storm worthiness goes of these tents, honestly, really good. So I have been through crazy storms in both the 2-person and the 3-person, which I do still have. The 3-person, it's actually the only 3-person backpacking tent that I have, is that one. And I do think that they are really, really good in storms. So I have been through hail, rain, gale force winds, pretty much everything that you can think of, and these tents have held up. There were times where I had to kind of hold outside of the main part of the tent and hang on to like the fly or something when it was getting really crazy. And I did have to hold up on the top of the tent once when the hail was coming down so heavily and it had been warm earlier in the day, and so it was kind of like sticking to the top of the tent and it was creating a lot of weight up there, and I had to actually hold the top of the tent up a little bit in order for it to start kind of sloughing off of the sides and not sag down on top of me. So you know, that can happen with definitely any tent, but that was my experience in the Big Agnes. So again, it did hold up pretty well. The issues that I ran into were, one, yes, that the zippers snag really, really easily, so I feel like you just have to be really careful. My personal preference with material, I've determined, is I don't really like the nylons. So again, really lightweight, that's great. But they sag really, really bad when they get wet. They're kind of tougher to dry out because they really retain that moisture. And that just ended up being a really negative aspect for me because I do a lot of hikes even when the weather's not fair. So I would not consider myself a fair weather hiker by any means, or backpacker. And so I will still go out unless it's a crazy stormy forecast. I will probably still be going out. So that was definitely a detractor for me. The other thing is that their tent poles, honestly, I was not impressed with. So I had the 2-person out on a very, very normal trip. No storms, nothing happened. It was literally a 1-night trip, and the pole started kind of coming apart. I think I have some pictures of it somewhere. The pole started sort of coming apart, and it just was like, had not had a lot of use. I think less than a year of use on this tent. And then I contacted Big Agnes and they were like, okay, great, like buy this part and repair it yourself. And I was just really underwhelmed with that. So I decided I was just done with their tents and I decided to get rid of it. That was just my personal reaction to the situation. I felt like they could have been helpful with it and just kind of weren't. So I just decided that I wanted to switch up and do something a little bit different. So that tent did actually serve me pretty well, I would say, in 2024, but I am getting rid of it. I actually already did. I don't have it anymore. I sold it. So hopefully the next person gets a lot of enjoyment out of it, but I decided not to keep that one. On the subject of shelters, I have an additional item that I sometimes take with me. So this is something that I take if it's gonna be really rainy. This is a tarp. It is considerably heavy. When you're talking about a backpacking kit, it is not a lightweight or ultralight or anything like that. This is about 24 ounces for this tarp. It's polyester. And the really positive thing about that and about it being this darker color is that it dries out really quickly. It doesn't retain the moisture. It doesn't sag a lot when it gets wet. So if I'm gonna have a really rainy trip or I'm expecting it to be stormy, especially in bear country where I need to be eating separately from where my tent is set up, this can be really useful to eat underneath in a completely different area than where my tent is set up. So I love taking this on rainy trips. It was kind of a game changer for me. If it's gonna be quite a few days of rain that I'm gonna be out, I might put it over my tent instead of using it separately so that my tent doesn't get as wet, and it's just easier to put up. It's easier to do things under the tent, or sorry, under the tarp where your tent is. Even little things like getting dressed or whatever like that, getting out of your tent in the morning. Because I don't know about you, but I have a kind of tough time doing that when it's freezing cold and I know it's soaking wet outside and I'm already chilly just getting out of my sleeping bag. I can sometimes be a little hesitant to want to actually get out of the sleeping bag. So this really helps me out with that, and I love it. It's definitely staying in my kit. Alrighty, let's move on to my sleep system. So first we'll talk about my sleeping bag. I have this one from REI. It's the REI Magma 15, and I got this before they started doing the different sizes of it. So it's just the women's REI Magma 15, and it is comfort rated down to 18 degrees Fahrenheit. I haven't used it in 18 degrees before, but I have used it down to 25 degrees, and I would say that it was plenty warm at 25 degrees, so I don't think I would have any issues if the forecast was getting down to 20 or something like that of taking this with me. My only one small, I don't know if I would even call it a complaint, but note about the sleeping bag is that it doesn't have the most resilient materials. So being at the price tag that it is, I get that it probably wouldn't have the same resiliency as some of the either more expensive or the simply heavier ones, but I have had to do some minor repair work on this one, on the draft collar here, where I repaired it. So it took some sewing there because that was kind of coming apart. It definitely has, which this is pretty normal, but it definitely has some feathers that do fluke out and stuff like that. But overall, again, it's a really good bag, especially for the price that I paid for it, because I did get it on sale when I bought this. So I would recommend this bag. I feel like in a way it just cannot be beat for the price. So this one is definitely sticking with me. The next crucial part of my sleeping setup is my sleeping pad. So 2024, I used this one that is blown up behind me, and that is the Climate Insulated Static V. 24 ounces. It's supposed to be a 4.4 R value. I have recently learned that there is a bit of controversy over Climate's ratings and how they rate their stuff. I'm definitely not gonna get into that, but I have read online that there is some sort of controversy over it. So I can't really speak to the necessary accuracy of that, but I will say that I stayed fairly warm on this. One of the things that I didn't realize until 2023 was the difference between insulated and non-insulated, or that there was non-insulated versus insulated sleeping pads. So that was a game changer for me in 2023 and 4 when I got this insulated pad. But it is not super comfortable. One thing that's really nice about it is the material on the outer is kind of like slip resistant, so it has a texture to it that's very fabricy versus the slicker material of some other pads. So I do really like that because I feel like you don't really slip around on it and stuff much. It does have baffles that go different ways, which again is a positive for comfort, but it is still not the most comfortable, and it's only 2.5 inches thick. So I'm sure that's plenty sufficient for some people if you're not like me that has a ton of trouble sleeping in general, but also in the backcountry. So I have needed to make some changes to prioritize my sleep because of that. Even though this pad was perfectly acceptable, I don't really have any specific issues with it whatsoever. There were no durability issues. The only negative thing I guess I could say about it is that the warmth to weight ratio isn't exceptional for sleeping pads. However, the price tag is exceptional, so that's definitely a trade-off. I would still recommend this pad overall. I do still like it. I have one for every member of my family, and they're gonna be sticking around with me. I just am not gonna be using it in my main backpacking kit anymore. Now on to the smaller component of my sleeping kit, which is this pillow right here. So it's another climate item. I used this one all of 2024, and this is just the X pillow. As you can see, it packs down really teensy tiny. It is 2.5 ounces of claimed weight, which is really, really reasonable. And I used this little sun buff, and it's just a sun buff that would go around your neck. And I used that as my pillowcase to go over it. And that is absolutely not necessary. One of the reasons that I do that for myself personally is because I just have terrible skin issues. I really, really struggle with acne. I have my whole life, and no dermatologist has been able to cure this genetic ailment of acne. And so I prioritize having that to help keep my skin a little bit cleaner, not be cross-contaminating myself, and being able to wash this, whereas the pillow is a lot harder to wash, and this I can just throw in my washer and dryer. So I used this little pillow, which is gonna stay in my kit, although I am modifying for this year, but it's definitely sticking with me, and I feel like it's pretty comfortable overall. A great use for weight ratio, so I would recommend this, and it's staying in my kit. Check out the description for a free backpacking gear checklist, some links to the items that I'm talking about, and give this video a like if you're enjoying it so far. A non-sleep but comfort related item is this right here. It weighs about 1 or 2 ounces, which I am putting weights on the screen, so if I'm wrong, you'll know. It weighs 1 or 2 ounces, and this is just a little sit pad. So it is great for me. I love it. And if the ground is wet, if the ground is cold, if I just want a little bit of a comfier spot to sit on, this thing is awesome. I've also used it when I have gotten too cold in my sleeping bag, and I can use it on either my feet or some part of me that is chilly, and it actually has really good insulating properties with this reflective side especially, where it'll reflect any little bit of heat that I am giving off back at me. So it has definitely been multi-use for me. So this is something that is staying with me. An item that I don't take on every single trip, but I did take on most of my 2024 trips, and it does have some use to show that, is this right here. This is a Gossamer Gear Thin Light pad, and it weighs about 2 ounces. It's an 1/8 inch thick, so it's very thin, and it is great. I love it for a variety of things. I sometimes will lay it out and then put my sit pad on top of it to give myself a bigger, comfier seat. I will stand on top of it to change. There's definitely a lot of different uses for this, so I do still love it. You can see that I've had to repair it with some duct tape. It probably weighs more than 2 ounces now, simply in duct tape, but that's okay. I'm definitely gonna keep using it. I do have a newer version that is supposed to be a little bit upgraded, more durable. I haven't used it yet, but they started making these a little bit differently or something, I guess. And so I'm keeping this one in my kit. A satellite communication device can be really helpful in any type of emergency situation, and it is a really good personal safety device to bring with you. So I use Garmin typically. I do have the Garmin InReach subscription, and this is the device that I used in 2024. It is a Alpha 200i. It has a lot of different uses. It has an on-screen map that you can use, as well as all the functionality of something like a Garmin InReach. It also will sync up with dog collars, which is the reason that I got this particular one. I have one dog that I don't totally trust to not accidentally go too far away or something, and I want to be able to track him. So that's why I ended up with this device. It is pretty dang heavy. It is also really excessive for most backpacker's needs, including mine when I don't have that particular dog with me. So I did upgrade from this device. I am keeping this, but it's not going to be my main device anymore. One of my bigger complaints about it, with it being an older device, is that it is not the best for battery life. And it has this huge screen, which again, just is gonna be sucking up your battery life. So not my recommendation for 99% of backpackers unless you specifically have a dog that you need to track. And although it is staying with me, it's not gonna be my main Garmin that I use anymore. On the track of safety devices, I always bring a headlamp with me. This is the one that I used for 2024, which is the Storm R headlamp by Black Diamond. It has a great battery life. It's totally weatherproofed and it's really bright. So absolutely love this. It is staying in my kit. My only complaint about it is that it is kind of front heavy, which you would expect given the design of a headlamp, but it is kind of front heavy compared to the size of this strap. The strap is sort of small for the weight. And so I feel like for extended use, it can be a little uncomfortable, but I would definitely prefer a little bit of discomfort to not having a headlamp with me, not having enough battery life, or being in any type of danger that I might find without having a headlamp that is reliable, weatherproof, and this one is also rechargeable. So again, staying in my kit. Another electronic that I take with me is this battery right here. This one is a Nightcore battery. It's a 10,000 milliamp hour one, and this one is really, really cool. So it is the Summit 10,000 series. And if you hold this button, it will keep itself above freezing. So if you're in colder temperatures or anything like that, where it just absolutely can drain your battery, this is really, really handy of a feature. So I love this thing. I feel like the battery life is great. It seems really durable. So this is my 2024 battery and it's definitely moving forward with me. For my cook kit this year, I carried it in this Gossamer Gear little hot pouch. It helps my pot stay warmer. And I picked up this Asoto sipper lid, which I thought I would use a lot more than I do. I've only used it a couple times to like sip coffee or hot chocolate out of. And I really liked the lid that was on my Jetboil because that lid you could boil the pot up with the lid on and then just sip from it and stuff. I really liked that. This one does not have that heat resistance to it, so I just don't really use it that often, so I'm not sure that I'm gonna keep taking this with me. And then I have this 750 milliliter Toaks titanium pot that I use. I got the one with the bail handle so that I can use it over a fire a little bit more easily if I want to. So love that pot. It's definitely sticking with me. My stove that I use is the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. I got the deluxe one because it has that larger burner head. It is supposed to be good for the windier conditions because it has that larger head to it. And I have found it to work really good. And it will also use every little last bit of fuel that is in my fuel canister up, which I really like. That was one of my complaints with the Jetboil that I switched from, was that it wouldn't use up all of that. So definitely keeping my cook kit the way that it is, with the exception of leaving this lid out because I just don't use it enough. So I can't justify taking this lid with me anymore. Then my utensil that I use was just an off-brand Amazon special titanium spork, and that kind of works well for any of the different foods that I eat. I eat primarily out of bags, and so having the long handle was really handy for me. But again, just a random one off of Amazon, and it's been really durable, so I'll be keeping this around. Staying on the food theme, I made this little pouch right here out of some packing material that came with a package once, and I just literally hot glued it and I didn't even do Velcro or anything on the flap. I just hot glued this together and then have used it. It's pretty good size, so it's great for those freezer bags and stuff, and I've used it for a couple of years to put my food in. It is pretty flat now, so these are like little bubble wrap in here, and it is supposed to have air in it, and most of them do not have air in them anymore. It is quite flat. So this is gonna need an upgrade because it just is not really doing what it's supposed to do anymore. Definitely don't regret making this. Would recommend it if you feel like putting some hot glue on some bubble wrap with that tin outside. I used these smelly proof bags this year. They're pretty good. They're affordable, which I like. They're easy to stack together. They don't seem to tear up at the top like I've heard that the OP sacks do. One negative thing is that when you do a lot of backpacking, I do feel like they get holes pretty easily. You can see that I have a patched hole right there, and they just don't seem to be super durable. So I am gonna be switching from this over to something different because I just keep ending up patching these. They're obviously not smell proof with a hole in them, so I end up having to patch them pretty frequently, and that just isn't gonna work for me. My bear-proof food storage solution for 2024 was the year sack. There's a couple of decorative patches that I put on it. It's not because there's holes in it. And this is definitely gonna be sticking with me. So this is so much easier than hanging your food. It's a lot lighter weight than a bear canister, so I'm only gonna use canisters where required. The rest of the time, I'm definitely going to be using this. It is water resistant, like it doesn't get soaked up real bad in the rain or anything. It just doesn't seem to permeate these fibers. I haven't had any issues. I just have the almighty one. I haven't had any issues with critters getting into it, but I do use an odor resistant bag inside. So this one is definitely staying with me. For rain gear, I had the Marmot Precip rain jacket that I had got back in 2019 when I moved to the area that I live in now, and I had bought it used for $20 off of Facebook Marketplace, and it was a good jacket, but it did start delaminating this year, and so that was not gonna work for me. I had re-waterproofed it earlier in the season, and I still used it the entire season, but it just started completely delaminating, so it was just actually coming apart. So I had to retire that Marmot Precip jacket, so that will not be moving forward with me. So that was my upper half. My lower half, I will continue using this. It is a somewhat controversial product amongst mainly my friends, I think. And maybe other people on the internet, let me know if you've run into this, but I will be using this. It is a hiking kilt, or rain skirt as I call it, and it's awesome. I absolutely love these things. They're so much lighter weight than rain pants. They're so much more breathable, and this one is even multi-use. So one of the things that I love about it is how you can just take it on and off while you're hiking. Whereas with hiking pants, especially because I have really big feet, I cannot do that. So this is how you put it on. It has Velcro up here, and you just wrap it around yourself and you Velcro it together. This one also has these little spots right here where you can put like rope or something through it, and I've actually strung it up as a tarp before and put it over some clothes that I needed to dry, and it was kind of flapping. I was really skeptical. I thought it was just gonna be shredded up come morning, but it wasn't. It was in perfectly fine condition despite flopping in the wind all night. So I was very impressed with that. I will be continuing to use this. I've been using this right here for an estimated 8 years now, and that is a pee-style pee funnel. This is an absolute game changer that I would recommend to any hiking or backpacking women at all. It lets you pee without exposing yourself. So if it's really cold, if there are mosquitoes that are trying to bite any part of you they can access, if you're in a crowded area where you can't find enough space to get far enough off of trail, all ways that you can use this device. I have found it to be very sanitary. I didn't have a lot of a learning curve with it, but of course I've used it for so long now that I'm just used to it. Absolutely love that thing. Definitely recommend. It is sticking with me. This is my toothbrush that I use. It is from a local gas station called Rocky Mountain Supply. I got them in Dillon, Montana, which is a town a couple hours away from here. And it comes out like that and makes a full-size little toothbrush. And then when I have it folded up, it has this little protective cover. It's awesome and it's definitely sticking with me. This is the bag that I used in 2024 for my poop kit, which really just contains toilet paper and wipes. So it's kind of a little excessive, but I like having it just together in one pouch. And this is a totally weather resistant pouch. And I have really liked it, but it is not continuing on with me for this use because it is starting to get some deterioration to the body and it's starting to get some holes in it that I've had to patch. So I just don't really trust it on the outside of my pack anymore. I might use it on the inside of my pack for some items, especially because it has a soft interior. So maybe some electronics or something, but it's not continuing forward with me as my poop bag. So it is out. My trowel is the classic Bogler trowel. Ultra lightweight, really easy to dig with. This little piece of plastic at the top protects your palm when you're digging into the ground. Love this thing and it is definitely sticking with me. These are an absolutely awesome item that has helped my sleep so much this year, and it is just a really basic earplug. But I got them because I wasn't sleeping particularly well. I never have out in the backcountry. It just helps a ton with those smaller noises that you don't need to worry about. And it helps me sleep the night, and a squirrel running by the tent is not going to wake me up, but I would still hear something like a bear if it came along. So it's a perfect mix, and these are gonna go forward with me. Next up, my water filter. So I used this Sawyer Squeeze the absolute most this year. I use it with a 2-liter Ceenoc Vecto bag that I use to scoop up water. It works really good and I can easily scoop up water from any streams or areas, or if it's dripping down, I can hold that open and it will easily collect into there, and then I can filter it through my Sawyer Squeeze, which is a pretty reasonable size. I mean, it's definitely heavier than like a Sawyer Mini or something, but it's a lot quicker as well. So I love this filter. I love that you can back flush it with one of their syringes, and that just helps give me confidence when I'm out in the field that when I'm in an area with murkier water or something, that I'm still gonna be able to reliably filter my water for days on end. I do still take it back up just because it pays to be prepared, which are just little tablets, but this has been really reliable. I love it and it's definitely moving forward with me. Next up are my clothing items from 2024. This is my absolute favorite puffy. It is a size small of an outdoor research one. I think I got it from REI garage sale or maybe online when it was on sale, but it is their Atom hoodie and I don't think that they sell it anymore, but I absolutely love this thing. So it has a really nicely cuffed part by your wrist that keeps the heat in really well. It has a really well-shaped hood with just a little bit of a brim here that you can cinch down really well over yourself. And it's just super warm. I love the baffling pattern of it. I just don't have any complaints about it. It's pretty lightweight. It's really comfortable. I love this thing. So definitely staying in my kit. Speaking of things that you can't get anymore that I have and love is this White Sierra, which is a brand that has completely disappeared and gone out of business. White Sierra fleece. It has a lot of breathability on the back. I don't know if you can kind of see, oh yeah, you can see the patterning there. And so it's not mesh, but it's like a a micro fleece in here with a lot of breathability to it, and that's on the back and kind of underneath in this armpit area. So I absolutely love this thing. It's pretty lightweight. I definitely wouldn't call it ultralight, but neither am I. And so I just love this thing. It's definitely coming with me in 2025. This was probably my favorite shirt of 2024, which is this Wild Rye bicycling shirt. And much like that fleece that I showed you, it has that sort of patterning on the back where it's just very, very breathable. It also has this little rubber spot underneath, or silicone, where it goes up against your back and helps the shirt stay down while you're backpacking. It's also partially wool, so it doesn't stink as easily as some of the synthetics and stuff, and the light color means it's not super hot out in the sun, and I love this thing. It's definitely staying with me. This is a wool neck buff, and I take this with me for my head at night. I put it over my hair because I have greasy, oily skin, and that applies in my scalp as well. So I like my hair not to move around a lot at night. It helps retain a little bit of heat, and I also can use it on my neck. I can use it as a little towel. It's just a really good multi-function little piece that I take with me. So I love this thing, and it's definitely moving forward with me. These are my absolute favorite pair of hiking shorts. They're made by Eddie Bauer. I think they're called Amphib shorts. They do have a pocket on the back and pockets for your hands. I've never really used those, but they're available. It has a drawstring in the front to really help it stay up. It's a really nice, soft, comfortable waistband with a bit of elastic to it. And I purchased mine in a petite, small size because I like the little bit shorter length. They're super airy with a nice open leg to them, and I love these things. They're super affordable with that Eddie Bauer brand. These ones are in pretty good condition. They're not wearing super quickly. They do show sweat in the back. If that's something you care about, I definitely don't. But they do show like the sweat ring or whatever in the back. I kind of just wear it like a badge of honor, so these are sticking with me. Things that I'm really non-specific about are gloves. I have this pair of Smart Wool gloves that I got, and they are just a really basic liner glove, absolutely nothing special, so not too much to say about that. These are fine, so get whatever gloves work for you. The pants I take the most often are these Columbia pants right here. They are a water-resistant, wind-resistant pant, and they're pretty comfortable. These ones are size 4 long. I like that because I have really long legs, and they're really comfortable. They dry pretty quickly. The only sort of issue that I've had with them is that I have like 5 pairs of these, and every single one has come apart on that stitching edge right there, which is just the inner seam kind of by your hip. And I am by no means busting out of these pants, so there's no reason that there's additional pressure put there, and on every single one of them. So I kind of look at that as being a flaw of these pants. I bought them for about $15 a pair on Amazon, so I am not complaining, but it's just something to know. I love these pants, and they're definitely moving forward with me after I sew that stitching point. For sleeping in at night or night hiking like I did in Arizona, or needing that extra comfort layer if it gets really cold out, I use these right here. They're a partial wool legging. They're made by a brand called Paradox. It's hard to read the tag on this one anymore because I've had them for such a while, but they're a Paradox brand, partially wool type. They're pretty sheer, they're not very thick, and they're really comfortable. I love the waistband on these. It's just really, really simple, and they hold up amazing. Oh my gosh, I have had these same ones for like 8 years. They hold up so well. Absolutely love these things. Think they were like somewhere between 20 and 40 bucks. Really affordable, really great. They don't stink. They don't do anything weird. Love these things. Definitely recommend, definitely moving forward with me. Socks were a big one for me in 2024. I was doing more hiking than ever, and I am someone that is really prone, unfortunately, to things like blisters. So I was trying not to just absolutely destroy my feet while doing more hiking than ever. And I also got into trail running this year, which I absolutely love. So kind of trying to figure out how to do my feet a little bit better service was something that I needed to do. And one of the ways that I learned to do that is by using 2 different pairs of socks at the same time. So I will use a pair of toe socks like this and a regular pair of socks like this in a medium weight. So I'm going to be using wool for both, and this is going to be a really thin, lightweight liner type sock. And then this one is going to be a medium weight. I have found that that is the best system possible for me personally and helps me to get the fewest blisters. So that's a system that's sticking with me and moving forward. Well guys, leave it to me to accidentally showcase why I use a backpacking checklist. So I forgot to mention my hiking poles when I made this video. So I want to talk about those real quick. I use these ones right here. They are Black Diamond. They are the Carbon Distance Z. They're about 9 ounces for the pair. I absolutely love them. They fold down really small and easily, and I am definitely gonna keep using these ones for many years to come, hopefully. I did lose one, unfortunately, last year in the Wind River range, but I was able to find a replacement on eBay. I used the 120 centimeter. They are expensive. They are expensive. They're kind of stupid expensive. And I was really disappointed when I lost one, but it is what it is. It's just a hazard of it. So these are moving forward with me. And if you're looking for another video to watch after this, check out this one right here. And as always, happy trails.